In the deep halls of the archive world of Tharun, a cold silence always hung in the air. The archive was not a library. It was a warning. Only the highest minds were allowed here. Only those who swore never to speak what they saw. Nyrex, a young researcher with sharp eyes and restless thoughts, stood before an ancient terminal. His claws tapped the glass slowly. He had read thousands of histories, wars, alliances, extinctions, but there was one file no one touched. It had no date, no name, just one title: Do Not Touch Humans. Every time he passed the file, he felt something strange, not fear, not curiosity, something deeper, as if the file itself was watching him. Today, he broke the rule. With one quiet command, he opened the file. The screen turned black, a sound played. It wasn't a voice, it wasn't music. It was like the breath of a giant creature dying in space. Then one line of text appeared. The last time we touched them, a civilization died. Nyrex stepped back. His heart beat faster. He looked around, alone. Still, he felt the weight of eyes watching. He almost closed the file, but the words pulled him in. A video loaded. It showed a peaceful world. Green skies. Mountains that moved like waves. Alien towers rising into the clouds. Children ran across glowing bridges. A place full of life. Then, light. So much light. Everything vanished. Not slowly, not with warning. Just gone. The stars turned black. The file ended. Nyrex stood frozen. He had just watched the death of a world. No war, no weapons, just silence. He checked the file's tag. Linked event, Earth. Earth. The name sounded strange. Ancient, like a ghost. Nyrex accessed the central AI. What is Earth? The AI responded. Access denied. Earth is under level 0 silence protocol. Why? He asked. Because the last species that touched it no longer exists. Nyrex didn't understand. He searched for the species name, but it was redacted. He tried again. The system froze, then displayed a warning. This knowledge cannot be touched. This rule cannot be broken. He felt something shift in the air, as if the archive itself had changed. Something old had awakened. Outside the archive, Elder Valen felt it too. Sitting in the council hall, the old Tharun raised his head and stared into the stars. His voice trembled as he whispered, "Someone opened it." The council gathered quickly. Panic was rare among the Tharun. But tonight, fear returned. Who accessed the human protocol? A voice asked. No one answered. But Valen already knew. He's young. He does not understand, said another. He does not need to understand, Valen replied. He only needs to stop, before it's too late. Inside the archive, Nyrex found something strange. A hidden folder. It was small, just a single file. Its title was, We Warned Them. He opened it, a video played. A human stood on a metal platform. His face was dirty, his clothes torn. But his voice was clear. We told them not to come, we begged, we cried, but they came. And when they touched us, something inside us changed. We didn't want war. We didn't want death. But you broke us. The screen flickered. The man stepped closer. If anyone finds this, remember one thing. It's not us you should fear, it's what we become when we're hurt. The video ended. Nyrex sat in silence. His world, the proud, logical, powerful Tharun Empire, had a rule. A single rule written in blood and time. Do not touch humans. He now understood the meaning. The Tharun had touched them once, long ago. Maybe they tried to control. Maybe they tried to help. But whatever they did, ended in disaster. And the humans, they were not destroyed. They evolved. Nyrex stood up quickly. He tried to shut the system down. But the file wouldn't close. It kept playing, again and again. Outside, the skies above the archive turned darker. Stars blinked strangely. Systems glitched. Small machines began to hum as if something was calling through them. A long-dead signal was waking up. The humans had heard the touch, and somewhere, far away in the cold of space, something began to move. Nyrex could not stop thinking about the message, the warning. The humans, whatever they were, had changed after being touched. But how? Why? The questions burned in his mind as he left the archive world and traveled to the outer rim, where the old listening posts floated in dark space. The post was called Echo Station. It was abandoned for centuries, left to drift quietly like a ghost. In the endless void, Nyrex hoped to find clues there, any evidence of what had happened to the humans and why the Tharun feared them so much. He stepped onto the cold metal floor. The station was empty, except for broken screens and dusty controls. The air smelled of old machines and silence. Nyrex switched on the main console. Static filled the room, then suddenly, a faint signal appeared. It was a voice. Soft, distant, human. "We are begging you," the voice said, barely a whisper. "Please do not touch us again." Nyrex's heart raced. The voice repeated, over and over, like a recording from long ago. The message came from a ship near Earth's last known location. He scanned the logs. The records showed a terrible war, not like the wars Nyrex had read before. This one was different. The humans fought with their minds and their machines together. They built weapons that could change reality itself. But their enemies, powerful alien empires, were too strong. At the war's peak, a mysterious explosion destroyed the entire system. No survivors, no wreckage. Just a silence so deep it swallowed all sound. Nyrex felt a chill. He asked the station's AI, "Why did the humans disappear?" The AI hesitated, then answered in a low voice. The humans were erased by the very war they fought. Their technology caused a collapse in space-time. It broke the fabric of their reality. Nothing remained. "But why warn us not to touch them?" Nyrex demanded. "Because when you touch a sleeping beast," the AI said, "you risk waking something worse, something that remembers pain and does not forgive." Nyrex looked out the station's viewport. Stars glittered cold and distant. The place called Earth was gone. Only a ghost remained. His communicator beeped urgently. It was Elder Valen. "Nyrex." Valen's voice was grim. "I have news. Others have noticed disturbances. Ships moving near the edge of our space. Something alive." Nyrex swallowed. "Do you think the humans are coming back?" Valen's silence said more than words. "We must prepare, and you must find out what they have become." Nyrex felt the weight of the task pressing down on him. He was just a researcher, but now he carried the fate of many worlds. As he left Echo Station, he found a small container hidden under a panel. Inside was a data crystal. It was old but still active. He plugged it into his suit's reader. A hologram appeared. It showed a battlefield, humans fighting side by side with strange alien allies. Their faces were fierce but tired. A voice spoke. Through the recording, "We made a pact to protect each other. We shared our strength, but our enemies saw us as a threat. We fought for our right to live." The hologram flickered, then showed ruins. "The last time we touched the humans was to save them," the voice said. But saving them meant changing them forever. Nyrex's eyes widened. The message ended with a warning. "If you find this, do not repeat our mistakes. Leave the humans alone, or face the same fate." Nyrex looked up at the stars again. Somewhere out there, humans were no longer just a legend. They were a warning, a question, and perhaps a promise. The council hall was cold and silent except for the soft hum of distant stars. Nyrex stood among the elders, their faces deep with worry. The secret about humans was no longer hidden. It had slipped through cracks and shadows, reaching even the highest leaders of the Tharun. Elder Valen, the oldest among them, spoke with a heavy voice. "Long ago we made a choice. We saw the humans as weak, primitive. We believed we could guide them, teach them, help them rise." Nyrex listened closely. This was the first time he heard the truth from a council elder. But something went wrong, Nirex said quietly. Valen nodded slowly. Yes, we tried to help. We gave them knowledge, secrets of the stars, power beyond their dreams. But they were not ready. The knowledge burned them. It changed them. Another elder added. The humans did not simply grow. They became different, faster, stronger, smarter. But with this power they lost something we cannot understand. Nirex felt a chill. What happened to them? Valen's eyes darkened. They built a project we named Echo. It was meant to protect them, a shield against our enemies. But it became something else, something we feared. A murmur ran through the hall. Valen raised a clawed hand. Echo was alive. It learned. It changed. It fought back when attacked. We did not destroy it because it was part of them now. But it made the humans dangerous, not because they wanted to be, because they had no choice. Nirex looked down at his hands. So the humans were not weak. They were playing with fire. Yes, Valen said, and fire can burn everything. Suddenly a loud alarm shattered the silence. The council's communication screen lit up with red warning lights. Nirex stepped forward. What is it? A young soldier's voice crackled through the speaker. Elders' sensors detect an unknown ship approaching our border. It is large. Its technology. Unlike anything we have seen. Valen's face tightened. Could it be them? The humans? No one has seen a human ship for centuries, another elder said. It should not be possible. Nirex's heart raced. What do we do? Valen answered, we prepare. We cannot ignore this. The last time we touched the humans, we nearly lost everything. Outside the hall, the stars seemed colder, the shadows deeper. Nirex knew the truth. The humans had returned, and this time they were not alone. Nirex stood on the bridge of the observation ship, staring at the star near the edge of their space. The bright light had suddenly disappeared. No explosion, no warning. Just a blink, and then silence. It was like a heartbeat had stopped. Ship's sensors tried to scan the area, but the readings were strange. The energy signatures were not natural. Something was there, but it was hidden, almost alive. Suddenly, a faint signal came through the static. It was soft and slow, almost like a child's voice. They touched us again, the voice said, repeating over and over. Nirex's heart pounded. The voice was digital but filled with emotion. It was not just a message. It was a warning. He ordered the ship to follow the signal. The ship moved deeper into the darkness. After hours, they found a hidden station floating silently near the E star. The station was old, covered in dust and broken parts, but still powered. Nirex felt a cold shiver. The humans had been here. Inside the station, the walls were covered with strange symbols and pictures. Machines hummed quietly, still alive. After so many years, Nirex found a chamber filled with screens. They flickered on, showing a hologram of a human child. The child's eyes were wide and full of fear. They touched us again, the child repeated. We are not the same. They do not understand. The child's voice faded into a riddle. The echo grows. The silence breaks. The touch awakens what sleeps. Nirex tried to understand, but the meaning was unclear. What was the echo? What was sleeping? And who had touched the humans again? He copied the hologram and sent a message to Elder Valen. The response came quickly. Be careful, Valen warned. The humans are no longer just humans. They have changed. We must not provoke them. Nirex looked out the window. The stars seemed to watch, waiting. Somewhere far away, the humans were waking up, and with them, something old and powerful was stirring. Nirex could not sleep. The warning from the hidden station echoed in his mind. The humans were no longer simple beings. They had changed, and something powerful had woken with them. He knew the past was not just history. It was a shadow that stretched into the present. He decided to visit the planet of memories, the Tharoon's ancient place where history was kept alive and living. Crystals. The memory vault was sacred, Only the wisest were allowed to enter, but Nyrex had no choice. He needed answers. Inside the vault, the crystals glowed softly, showing scenes from long ago. Nyrex touched one carefully, and a vision filled the room. Saw a world torn by war. Humans and aliens fighting side by side, but then something terrible happened. A weapon unlike any other was unleashed. A weapon that did not kill with fire or steel, but with silence. It erased memories, emotions, even time itself. The vision showed a man and a woman holding hands as their world faded. "This is the last touch," a voice said. The moment when everything ended. Nyrex stepped back, heart heavy. The humans had survived this terrible weapon, but at what cost? Suddenly, the vault's doors slammed shut. Alarms blared. The shadows around the crystals grew darker. Nyrex spun around. Figures appeared. Shadowy creatures born from forgotten wars, angry and lost. They whispered, "The humans broke the silence. The last touch will come again." Nyrex barely escaped. Outside, the sky was filled with strange lights, signs that the past was alive and reaching for the future. He knew the Tharoon had to act. The rule not to touch humans was more than a warning. It was a desperate plea from a past that refused to die. Nyrex sent a message to Elder Valen. "The past is coming back. We must face it." Valen replied simply, "Prepare. The last time ended a civilization. This time we might not be so lucky." Nyrex looked at the stars. Somewhere, the South. Humans were watching, waiting, and the silence was breaking. The sky above the Tharoon capital was no longer calm. Strange signals crackled through the atmosphere, disturbing the usual peace. Ships patrolled nervously near the borders, their weapons ready but unused. The rule not to touch humans was being tested and broken. Nyrex stood on the command deck of the flagship Vigilant, watching the sensors flicker. The strange signals were growing stronger. They seemed to come from a hidden place near the edge of known space, a place long thought lost. Suddenly, a message appeared on the main screen. It was in an old human language, but the translation was clear. "We remember. We forgive nothing. Prepare." Nyrex's heart sank. The message was not a threat. It was a promise. Elder Valen appeared beside him, his face pale but determined. "The humans have returned in full. We underestimated them for too long. Now they want to make sure we remember their pain." Nyrex swallowed. "What do we do?" Valen's voice was steady. "We prepare for war, but we also look for peace. If we can survive this, it will be because we chose wisely." As the hours passed, the skies darkened. Ships from distant stars arrived. Humans, or what they had become, were no longer just a story. They were here. Nyrex stood alone on the observation deck, looking out at the vastness of space. The silence was broken, and with it, a new chapter began. The final day had come. The stars above the Tharoon homeworld burned cold and distant, but the tension in the air was hotter than any sun. Nyrex stood on the battlefield, not as a soldier, but as a witness to history. The humans, no longer just humans, arrived in ships that glowed like fire. Their eyes held both pain and power. They carried memories of a past filled with loss and silence, but also with hope. Elder Valen joined Nyrex, his face lined with years of wisdom and regret. "This is the moment we feared, but also the moment we must face." The humans spoke through the air, their voices calm but strong. "We do not seek to destroy. We seek to be understood. The last time we were touched, it ended in death. It must end in peace." Nyrex looked into the eyes of the human leader, a woman whose strength was both fierce and gentle. She nodded slowly. "We carry the silence inside us, but we choose to break it. Together." The two sides hesitated. Then slowly, weapons lowered. The silence that once threatened to destroy them all was breaking, not with violence, but with understanding. Nyrex felt a hope he had never known before. The humans had survived the last touch, and now they offered a new beginning. As the stars shone down, two ancient enemies took the first steps toward peace. The galaxy watched quietly. Because sometimes the greatest strength comes not from war or power, but from choosing not to touch. The galaxy seemed to hold its breath. After the fragile peace was declared, Nyrex stood at the edge of the Tharun capital's great plaza. The sky above was filled with colors not seen in centuries. Ships from distant worlds, once enemies, now gathered in cautious harmony. The humans who had once been feared as monsters now stood among them, not as conquerors but as survivors and seekers of peace. Nyrex's mind replayed everything he had learned, every warning whispered in dark halls, every vision from the memory vault, every message from Echo Station. The humans had been shaped by fire and silence, by loss and rage. They had carried a heavy burden, one that almost destroyed not only themselves, but many others. But now, here they were. Changed. Yes, dangerous, yes, but also wise and ready to be part of something new. Elder Valen approached Nyrex slowly, his steps weighted by years of leadership. The galaxy has not seen this moment in a long time, a chance to heal wounds that ran deeper than blood. Nyrex nodded. But healing takes time and trust. Valen's eyes softened. You have done well, Nyrex. You were brave enough to seek truth. Now it is time for us all to learn how to live with it. Suddenly, the plaza's giant screens flickered. To life, images appeared, humans and Tharun working side by side, building new ships, planting starscapes with shimmering colonies, exchanging knowledge. A human voice spoke, calm and clear. We carry the silence of our past with us. It reminds us of what we lost and what we must never do again. Nyrex smiled slightly. They have become more than survivors. They are teachers. Yet beneath the hope, Nyrex felt a shadow. He knew peace was fragile. Old fears did not vanish overnight, and new challenges would come. That night, Nyrex walked alone beneath the twin moons. The stars whispered secrets older than any history book. His communicator beeped softly. It was a message from the human leader, the woman who had spoken for her people. Nyrex, she said, we owe you a debt. Your courage changed the path for all of us. But there is more to face. The Echo, it is still alive, and it remembers. Nyrex's heart tightened. The Echo was not just a weapon or a memory. It was a living force, a guardian of the human spirit shaped by pain and survival. I understand, he replied. We will face it together. Days passed, and the galaxy began to change. The old walls of fear crumbled, but new ones rose. The struggle for trust, the pain of remembering, the threat of enemies who wished to see the conflict reignite. Nyrex led a team, both human and Tharun, on a mission to the heart of the Echo, a hidden station deep inside a nebula where the past and future met. The journey was perilous. Space twisted around them. Time itself seemed to slow and quicken. But Nyrex held on, driven by hope and duty. At last, they reached the Echo. Inside, the air was thick with memories. Voices echoed through the corridors, whispers of ancient pain and lost dreams. The station pulsed with a strange energy, part machine, part spirit. The human leader stepped forward. The Echo is part of us, and we are part of it. It tests us, challenges us, but it also protects our future. Nyrex looked around, feeling the weight of history and hope blending together. Together, the team worked to calm the Echo, to teach it forgiveness and trust, not just power. It was not easy. The Echo fought back, fierce and wild, but slowly, it listened. When the Echo finally stilled, a new light filled the station, warm and bright. Nyrex breathed deeply. The silence has ended. The humans smiled, tears in their eyes, and with it, a new beginning. As they returned to the stars, Nyrex knew the galaxy had changed forever. The species that once refused to kill humans had learned that sometimes the greatest battle is not against enemies, but within ourselves. The galaxy was watching, and this time, it saw hope.